Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel. Today, we've got some absolutely stunning news coming out of South Africa that you do not want to miss, especially if you or your loved ones are relying on SASSA grants to make ends meet. Buckle up, because SASSA has just delivered a major shock, but in the best possible way. For millions of seniors across the country who have been struggling to stretch their limited incomes, there's finally a wave of relief. The old age grants have been increased significantly, with some recipients now eligible to receive up to R5000 per month. Yes, you heard that right, R5000. This is a game changer for so many households that have been grappling with the rising cost of living, food prices shooting through the roof, and the overall financial strain that has been especially brutal over the past few years. This announcement has sparked massive conversations across the nation, from major news outlets to local community gatherings. For many seniors, this increase is nothing short of life-saving. Let's dive deep into the details and what this means for you, your family, and the future of social support in South Africa. First, let's understand exactly what happened. The South African Social Security Agency, or SASSA, in collaboration with the Department of Social Development and Treasury, has rolled out a comprehensive plan to increase the old age grants to help cushion seniors against the devastating effects of inflation. With the economic pressure mounting over the last couple of years, especially post-pandemic and amid global instability, seniors have found themselves at the most vulnerable end of society's economic chain. Fixed incomes simply weren't enough anymore, and many advocacy groups have been ringing alarm bells for months, warning that without an increase, thousands could fall deeper into poverty. The government has finally responded in a big way. The new measure sees a phased increase of grants, starting with an immediate bump that will be further adjusted over the coming fiscal year. Eligible seniors over the age of 60 are now looking at grants that can go as high as R5000 depending on their income status, disability considerations, and other qualifying factors. Previously, the standard grant hovered around R1080 to R2100 per month. So this increase is not just marginal, it's historic. It's an unprecedented step towards social justice for the elderly who have contributed their whole lives to the economy and society. Imagine the difference an extra R2000 to R3000 a month could make for someone living on the edge. That's the ability to afford better food, consistent medication, pay for transportation, and live with a little more dignity instead of constant anxiety over survival. But how did this come to be? Well, according to insiders within the Department of Social Development, this decision was the result of a year-long pressure campaign led by civil society organizations, pensioner groups, and members of parliament who have been pushing relentlessly for an increase. After reviewing the 2024-2025 budget forecasts, Treasury found it possible to reallocate funds from underspent departmental budgets and new tax revenues to fund this massive boost in social grants. President Cyril Ramaphosa himself made a statement this morning, emphasizing that no senior citizen in our nation should have to choose between food and medicine, between warmth and shelter. This grant increase is a moral imperative. And let's talk about the broader context. South Africa has been grappling with some serious economic challenges. Unemployment remains stubbornly high, the cost of living is soaring, and load shedding has taken its toll on businesses and households alike. Seniors, many of whom live on fixed incomes without the ability to pick up side jobs or supplement their income, have felt the brunt of these pressures the most. There have been heartbreaking stories of elderly citizens eating once a day or choosing to skip buying necessary medication just to afford basic utilities. This increase could very well mean that thousands of seniors can live healthier, safer, and more fulfilling lives. For many South Africans, particularly those in rural areas, the old age grant isn't just supplemental income, it's the main, and often only, source of financial support for entire households. Multi-generational families often rely on a grandparent's grant to survive. So this increase doesn't only uplift the seniors, it lifts entire families out of desperate situations. It injects money into communities, supports local businesses, and stimulates local economies from the ground up. Experts are already predicting that this injection could provide a mini boom for small towns and villages where grant money circulates quickly and supports livelihoods far beyond the original recipient. Now, many of you might be wondering, how exactly will the R5000 be allocated, and who qualifies? That's a crucial question. From the latest information available, the R5000 amount will not automatically be awarded to everyone. Instead, it will be structured based on need. Seniors who fall below a certain income threshold, those who are disabled, those over 75 years of age, and those who provide care for dependents will be prioritized for the maximum amount. Others will see a significant increase, but perhaps not the full 5,000. Even so, the minimum increases are still highly significant, with no eligible recipient receiving less than a R500 increase immediately, and further adjustments expected by October. This new policy is being hailed as one of the most compassionate and forward-thinking moves made by the government in recent years. Social Development Minister Linda Zulu held a press conference earlier today where she reiterated that this is not a once-off move. She stated, "We are committed to ensuring that our social protection programs are responsive to the realities on the ground." This increase is part of a larger reform that aims to protect the dignity of every citizen, especially our elders, who are the pillars of our communities. Minister Zulu also announced that SASSA has streamlined the reapplication process to make it easier for seniors to update their information and ensure they qualify for the new amounts. Those already receiving grants should automatically see the new payments reflected starting next month, but anyone who believes they qualify for the maximum grant is encouraged to update their income verification forms as soon as possible. In addition, mobile units will be dispatched to remote areas to assist seniors who may have difficulty accessing SASSA offices. Now, let's talk about the human side of this story, because beyond the numbers and policy details, this is really about people. At the press conference, a few seniors were invited to share their stories. One woman, Mrs. Nomsa Dlamini, 78 years old from the Eastern Cape, gave an emotional testimony. She spoke about how, until now, she had to choose between buying her blood pressure medication and putting food on the table. With tears in her eyes, she said, "This increase is not just money. It is hope. It is dignity. It is life." Stories like Mrs. Dlamini's remind us that these policy decisions are not abstract, they are real, tangible changes in people's daily lives. In another inspiring story, Mr. Johannes Mabina, 82 years old from Limpopo, explained that he has been using part of his small grant to support his 2 orphan grandchildren. With the new increase, he plans to ensure they have proper school uniforms, a reliable meal every day, and perhaps even some savings for emergencies. "I can breathe again," he said. "I can rest knowing my grandchildren have a better chance now." These stories are just the tip of the iceberg, and they paint a vivid picture of why this grant increase matters so deeply. Of course, with every major change, there are always questions and concerns. Some analysts have raised red flags about the sustainability of such a large increase. Will Treasury be able to maintain this funding year after year? Will inflation eat away at the gains? Minister Zulu addressed these concerns, explaining that the government is exploring sustainable funding mechanisms, including new wealth taxes and corporate tax reforms to ensure that social grants remain robust into the future. "We are building a compassionate economy," she said. "An economy where no one is left behind." Community leaders, religious organizations, and civil society groups have broadly welcomed the announcement but have called for vigilance to ensure that corruption and inefficiencies do not erode the intended benefits. There are also calls for the government to continue working on other structural reforms, such as affordable health care, cheaper electricity, and better public transportation, which all disproportionately affect seniors and low-income families. As this news spreads, the reactions on social media have been absolutely explosive. Hashtags like SASSA Boost, R5000 for seniors, and Dignity for elders have been trending across South Africa. Thousands of people have been posting messages of gratitude, hope, and cautious optimism. Some have shared heartbreaking before and after comparisons showing how the grant increase will allow them to finally fix a leaking roof, buy a new pair of glasses, or afford consistent electricity for the first time in years. And of course, political commentators are weighing in too. Some opposition parties have cautiously praised the move while simultaneously criticizing the government for not acting sooner. Others have warned that while the increase is fantastic, it must be part of a broader strategy to grow the economy and create jobs so that future generations aren't solely reliant on social grants. But overwhelmingly, the sentiment has been one of relief and celebration. For once, it feels like there is a piece of good news that cuts through the gloom. And what about the practical side? If you or someone you know is receiving an old age grant, it's crucial to stay informed. Make sure your contact information is up to date with SASSA. Keep an eye on your bank account statements or payment notifications over the next few weeks. If there are any discrepancies or delays, contact your nearest SASSA office or call the helpline immediately. And remember, you do not need to pay anyone to access this increase. If anyone asks for money to speed up your application, it's a scam. Always report suspicious activity. Looking ahead, this massive increase could have ripple effects throughout South Africa's social safety net. Analysts are predicting that disability grants, child support grants, and other social benefits could soon see similar increases if the economy remains stable. Some are even calling for a universal basic income grant to be introduced within the next 2 years, a fascinating development that could reshape South Africa's entire economic landscape. And let's not forget the international context. South Africa's move has drawn praise from international organizations like the United Nations and the World Bank, which have long advocated for stronger social protection measures in developing economies. If successful, this program could serve as a model for other countries facing similar challenges. In closing, today's announcement is a beacon of hope. It shows that advocacy, persistence, and collective action can lead to real change. It proves that governments can prioritize dignity and compassion. And most importantly, it reminds every senior citizen that they are not forgotten, that their lives and contributions still matter deeply. If you are a senior, or if you have a parent, grandparent, or loved one who relies on the old age grant, know that help is finally here, and brighter days are ahead. Thank you so much for joining me today and diving deep into this amazing news. Let's celebrate this victory, but let's also stay vigilant and keep pushing for an even better future. If you found this video helpful, please smash that like button, subscribe to the channel for more breaking updates like this, and share this video with friends and family who might benefit from this information. Until next time, take care of yourselves and each other, and remember, hope is stronger than fear.